Hi everyone. We are here today to discuss how I got into healing, and we are part of the CHO, which is the Confederation of Healing Organisations. And we just literally got together, the three of us, and decided it would be a great topic for people to hear about. So we hope you agree. I'm Sue Knight. I'm the Chief Executive of the CHO. And I have my colleagues here who are going to introduce themselves out there talking about their little story. Sue, would you like to go first?
Okay, hi, I'm Sue Mason. I am joint chair of the CHO and director of Omnes Healing. And how I got into healing it was about 30 years ago, probably longer actually. My uncle at one Christmas announced that he was learning to be a spiritual healer. And we thought, really? That's a very unusual thing to be doing. And so I was asking him about it. And he, at the time I was working at a university department, a clinical trials research unit. And so he was telling me all his success stories, and I was there thinking, well, that's a very biased reporting. I wasn't at all impressed with him really. But I was very piqued. I thought, well, this is such an unusual thing. I wanted to find out more. So he gave me the phone number of a tutor who lived nearby me. And I rang her up and I said, I'd like to find out more about healing, and I'm told that you can do so. And she said, oh, well, the next course starts in 3 months' time. And I said, no, you've got me completely wrong. I don't want to be a healer. I want to find out about it. And she said, well, the best way probably is to do this course, to be honest. So I thought, oh, okay, fine. And she said, in the meantime, because it's quite a while away, why don't you practice sending loving energy? Just ask it to come through you, and you could practice on plants or your children or your pets. So I found myself in the kitchen in front of a cactus with my hands out like this, thinking, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I just absolutely I just thought, oh, it's silly. I forgot all about it. Anyway, about 2 weeks before this course was due to start, I was lying in bed in about sort of 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was really wheezy. I'd got a really bad cold, and for about the 3rd night in a row, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to get out and get my inhaler. And I was so tired, I couldn't be bothered. So I thought, I'll give this healing lark a go. And that was literally what I was thinking. No expectations at all. And so I thought, okay, what do I do? Please, God, can I have some healing? And I put my hand over my chest. And what happened was I got an immediate band of heat around my chest. I saw a light blue light in my mind's eye. And just like that, my wheezing stopped. And I've been wheezing, I've been awake for a good half hour with it not being bothered to get out of bed. And I was absolutely shocked. I thought, oh my goodness, what's happened here? And I thought, well, I've still got a headache. So I put my hands over my head, and then the next thing I knew, I was awake in the morning, and I said to my husband, you will not believe what happened to me last night. So when I went to the course, instead of sitting there at the back rolling my eyes with a very critical academic hat on, I thought, I know there's something to do with this. I know there is. I've got to just listen and find out what it is. I need to find out more. And I honestly think that's why I got that experience, to completely change my attitude, so that I did listen. So that's my story.
Brilliant. I love the fact that it was a cactus. Did it grow?
No, I don't know. I've no idea. But I did feel a right fool, I can tell you.
Wow. Okay.
I wouldn't know probably, but there you go. I have changed completely.
Actually, I do have a question, Sue. When was this?
When?
Yeah, when? What?
It was in the 1930s, not 1930, it was about 30 years ago. Over 30 years ago is what it was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Craig, go for it.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Craig Rebuck. I'm co-chair of CHO, and I'm also a trustee of the Sylvan Healing Sanctuary. My journey is a little odd and strange, but it probably first started when I was about 19, when a school friend of mine, a college friend of mine, my father's a healer, and he mentioned your name the other day whilst he was doing healing. And I thought, oh, that's very nice, and didn't think anything more about it. And then later on in my 20s, I had probably was fair to say a little bit of a breakdown. It took me many years in my life to understand that actually it was a breakthrough, and it opened me up to different experiences. And in that period of time, when the shutters were up, I was experiencing things that afterwards I just thought, I can't just put this down to the fact that I might have been a little bit off, whatever off would be, and now's not the time to talk about it. And I was curious. I wanted to know more. My intuitive, sensitive self was asking questions. I didn't really know what they were. So I phoned up the guy's father some 10 years later, and I said, do you remember me? And he said, yes, of course. He said, well, your son, that you mentioned my name, and I wonder if you can help me. So he asked me a few questions, and he sent me to the Sylvan. And the lady there said, well, you could do healing. I said, I just wanted to know why I was having odd experiences and what it was that I was feeling or said. She said, well, a little bit like you, Sue Mason. Well, the best way for you to know is for you to just sort of practice. Why don't you come along and we can at it, and you can come and work in the healing center way before there was any processes of how to train people, but it was very much a hands-on process, working with and training with someone. And it took a couple of years before I started working with people. And of course, I spent many years asking the questions: is this me, or is this something else, or is this me, or is it? In the end, I gave up asking the question because actually I couldn't find an answer, and I just evolved and just spent some time working through healing. And I'm still working in the same organization, even though it's moved on many years. And before you asked the question, how long ago was it, Sue Knight? It was probably around 35 years ago when I first started.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've both been at this for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
It might even be 40 years. Thinking about it, actually. It's an awful long time.
Wow.
The decades go by.
Steady on.
I'm suspecting if we all had our times together, that we'll probably have reached over 100. How's that?
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, easily. Okay.
What about you, Sue?
Okay, so I was reading a local newspaper. I was looking through this local newspaper. We're talking Somerset. And there was an article in the middle of it. I mean, I don't live very far from Glastonbury. Glastonbury, from most people will know that it's a very different place, and it's full of very different folk. And those days it was full of very different folk. There were lots of sort of weird and wacky things going on in Glastonbury. And this newspaper had an article on healers, and the 3 healers featured, and one did look very weird and wacky. That's very judgmental. I shouldn't have said that. Apologies. One looked fairly normal, and the other one looked extremely normal, but he had a lovely big smile on his face. He was dressed in a suit, looking very smart. And I thought, oh, this guy comes across, this guy comes across very well. And I made an appointment to take my mum to see him. He was a local, well-known West Country healer, Bill Harrison, and went to see him with my mum. Now, my mum and dad had been to see healers since I was quite a small girl, and those days it was faith healing. And I'm doing this because it's not so much known as faith healing anymore. But those days it was faith healing. That's how it was known. And they had some very good results from this faith healer. So mum was at the point where she had things that she really needed to be seen to, as it were. So I took her along. And I'm trying to think now how long ago that was. And my son was a baby, so that's got to be 30 odd years. And basically I was fascinated because I was watching him and he was chatting away. chatting away, and he was a northerner. He had a lovely sense of humour, chatting away as he was healing, keeping up his conversation, and he really did have a lovely sense of humour. So he was laughing a lot, and I was just fascinated by what he did, by the fact that I could feel something going on. I could feel energies in the room, and it kind of went from there. Really, he told me he had an open circle, and he told me he was, this group met every fortnight or so, and eventually that circle decided that actually we wanted to learn healing like he was doing. So that was it. He was our tutor. We then we did a two-year course. It was just at a point of, just before the point of the sort of formal training coming in, the formal 2-year training coming in. So there was no manual written or whatever. We just did what he thought were the right things, but actually ended up covering all the things that we then saw that were coming into the manuals. So it was quite fascinating. But yeah, that was it. It was just literally reading that newspaper at that particular time and seeing that particular article. That's what started it.
Meant to be.
Meant to be. Absolutely meant to be.
The rest is history, Sue.
The rest is history for us all, I think. And I'm still amazed by it. I don't want to stop being amazed by it. I don't know about you guys. Don't want to stop being amazed by it, because the day I stop being amazed by it, then that's the day I stop healing.
Yeah. I didn't expect to find the things that I found over the last 10, 15, 20 years. It's just unfolded at the right time and when I was ready. And of course, we always go, well, when would we be ready? But suddenly something changes, and then you move to the next level and you learn more, and it's deeper. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to our next podcast, whatever that might be. And
got so many topics, I can tell you.
Yeah. And we hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.